Hello everyone and welcome back to the FIAT Panda series.
Well, yeah, we've been peer pressured into doing this.
We have, yes. Who by?
Stefano.
Stefano. Now if you haven't seen any Stefano's comments, he does give us really good tips.
Very good tips.
Very
but
good
he knows
tips.
what he's doing.
Yes, he does. He's a professional. Now, we are in no way a professional. No. Neither of us. Two of us combined don't make half a professional. But
if you followed this, we've had this in at a professional mechanic.
We have.
And to be quite frank,
he's been no better than we could have been.
Stefano's right, we may as well man up and do this.
Quite right. So what have we done so far? We've had the real mechanic, who we call a real mechanic, do the prop shaft.
So this is our diff that was on the vehicle. We will do a shortened version if this is successful of what the problems were. So if you've got them, you won't have to watch everything, but you can pick and choose. But we had a gearbox issue which we fixed. Which was
the reverse lifter.
Yeah, which threw us slightly off on the wrong scent.
Yep.
Then the real mechanic said that as we were driving, you'd get this shunt as you change gear. He decided it was the prop shaft, so new prop shaft is on, shunt is still there. He then told us the differential was faulty, so I got a replacement differential. He's fitted that, shunt is still there. He now said that it is the mounts that hold the differential on. Now these were on the differential that I purchased off a 1.2, this is a 1.3, and we didn't realise, and I was a bit confused, why he would fit the differential but take the old mounts off here when I believed they were universal and they're not. So here we have a new...
Go up to the cam.
A new replacement part, and you will see there is a threaded hole there, and that is the one that came off
the 1.2 diff.
The 1.2 diff. So there is definitely a difference if you're purchasing. And to be honest, if you're purchasing a used differential, I think now, knowing what we know, you'd be stupid not to spend the €30 on a new set of these anyway.
Yes, quite right.
So it doesn't matter.
No. So we're almost, this is our last resort, isn't it? Is these mounts. We don't really know what else it could be.
No, but this part here is the only separate part which goes in there. Now, looking at this one and looking at the one that's on the vehicle, we don't need that, and we're really hoping we don't.
Yes, because we don't fancy pushing that out.
We can do it.
Yep.
I'm sure we can, but I don't think we're going to need to, but I bought it anyway. It came as a kit, so we got all three parts. But luckily, because we didn't know about that threaded hole,
we got the right one.
We've got the right ones.
Yes, and in that hole adds, which we will show you later, we believe to be you'd had a name, what we think that is.
What?
These things that attach to the mount.
Well, there's something to do with the
diff.
The ELD,
yes.
Because ours, we press a button inside and it locks. It puts the rear diff into action.
Yes.
So it must be something to do with that.
And this
we don't know.
No, we got no idea. So what we'll do is we'll head underneath and we'll try and explain what we're going to try and do, and then we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yes, because luckily we got one other tip, and that was from someone important actually. So.
The bench made a noise there.
And we've been watching an Italian chap.
Yes, we have.
But obviously we didn't understand a single word, but he
just had to watch it.
So we know how to do this now.
So we'll see how it goes, and we'll get underneath. Yes. So here we are underneath the Panda. Now this is our new diff that we've got to replace the other one, and this is in. And you can see here that on the side, this is what I was trying to explain, that hole that we've got on our new mounts is where it attaches, you can see up here. So the 1.2 mounts don't actually have this piece on them. So if you've got a 1.2, we believe you won't have these. So that's lucky that we got the right mounts.
So someone needs to tell us what they are.
Yes.
Because we don't know.
No, it would be nice to know, because I can't see any wiring, any piping, nothing going to them.
If the 1.2 hasn't got them, what are they?
Yeah, no, quite right. What are they? So our plan is, we have seen a video, luckily, of our Italian friend who was recommended by
Luis, who lives in, no, we won't say where, but he lives very close to the finest tiramisu restaurant in the Algarve.
That is true. And he took off in the video, the Italian man, the rear sway bar. Now
we're to do this.
We're going to try and refrain from doing that, because we don't really want to. And what we're going to do is these are the main mounts that we're going to be changing, hopefully not this back one. And these two bolts here and these two bolts here are actually what hold the mounts to the car. So we're going to try and get a jack under here, undo those.
Which is what he did.
Yeah, bring the diff down, then just try and remove the mounts from the diff because it will give us a bit more clearance because there's 2 bolts just up here. And then take this lump off, take that lump off, put the new ones on, and hopefully put it back up without disconnecting anything else.
And
that's the plan. And we'll see how that goes right now. Right, so we're going to loosen this rear mount that we're hopefully not going to change, just so it has a bit of flex, so when we lower the front part of the diff it doesn't rip the bushing or anything like that. So we're just going to loosen it. Hopefully it shouldn't be too tight, because it's just, unfortunately...
He's just done it.
Yeah. And it's an 18 and a 19 mil socket, aren't they?
Yes.
So it's not too tight. So, if you could...
if I could... one off.
Yeah, that'll do. The bolts aren't touching. We are now loose. So we're going to now try and undo the main mounts that we need to change, and it's these 2 bolts here which are a size 15 mil. So I'm going to try and do these by hand. Hopefully we don't have to bring out a windy gun.
We know that we guessed that the mechanic does everything by windy gun.
Yeah. Right. So we'll start undoing those, which they're already loose. If you can see that.
Yep.
So that's good. That means that our jack is supporting them. Your turn.
Well, you're hoping I can't do this?
No, you'll be able to do it.
You think?
Hey.
Oh, there's life in the old dog yet.
There it is.
Are you leaving them in or out?
I've left them in at the time being, but that was just so you could loosen these ones. But I think now we'll take them out, since the whole diff seems to be sitting on the jack.
I've got it.
Good man.
I'm just trying not to rip them up.
Yeah, don't blame me. Right, that mount is nice and loose, so now we've got to replicate that on the other side. So if you could undo those.
Not do anything, should I?
Yeah. Got an exhaust in the way for this one. That's it. Right, so diff is now disconnected bar that rear mount. So, all we need to do, you see the mounts are now loose, so we just got to now disconnect the mounts from the diff, because the diff is now disconnected from the car. So, I think, hang on, let's come here. Actually, I'll go free. I'm going to go free hand for this one. So now, with the brackets loose, what we're going to do is remove this bolt, and up the top there, we've got 2 more, just holding that sort of piece on. There's one there and one for the other side, and then the other 2 bolts. So we'll slightly lower the diff now and see if we can get a little bit more clearance up there. If not, it's not the end of the world, because we can get a ratchet sort of spanner on there. I'd go down a bit more. Bit more. That's enough, I think. Well, we've got plenty of clearance
on the gearbox, on the exhaust. So.
No, so we've got plenty of clearance up there for those 2 bolts. I think we're laughing. So the 2 bolts up here are a size 18.
Knuckles intact?
Knuckles are intact so far. Let's not jinx it.
Oh, it's not open yet. I thought you'd got it.
No, I'm doing the other one.
Oh, are you?
They're they suddenly go finger loose. You know, you loosen them and then they're a nice clean thread, which is nice. Let's see how long they are.
Why would the Italian man we watched, who, excuse me, can't remember his name, he smothered everything in copper grease, didn't he?
He did. This one?
I don't think we will.
That's one of the top bolts.
Or will we?
And I don't know. That's a good question, because we would have gone for anti-seize. Not anti-seize, we would have gone for thread locker.
We would. That one looks like it's had thread locker on.
It does. Some of them are blue,
That
bluish.
One looks like it's had thread locker on to me.
Right.
But a very minimal amount. Surely you don't want them coming. Certainly wouldn't go copper grease.
No, I'd have said that was the opposite.
But we will be corrected, I'm sure.
True.
But they're not going back on with copper grease.
No.
And they will be coming back off.
Right then. Now we're moving on to the next one.
Is there only those two?
Yeah, there's only two up there.
Oh, per side.
Yeah. One on the top for the left, one on the top for the right.
So they weren't,
I wouldn't have said they were incredibly tight.
no.
Right, so these two are coming off, and then we should be able to just take the mount away. This is very brave
So
of
I
us.
think we'll do a side at a time.
Yes.
Put the mount back on.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So we're ready, roughly in place. They're very blue.
They've had thread locker.
I would say so. One side seems to have had thread locker, one doesn't, which is odd.
The ones that have come off on our original diff have got thread locker on.
Right, you ready?
Yep.
That mount, they don't weigh much, those mounts.
Just as well because I've held it.
Yeah, there we go. We're off.
Right.
Question is, can you get him out of there?
That's a very good point.
Yes. There we go. Missed a mount. Let's go over to the table.
So this is the one that's off, and we have excellent news.
We do. What's that?
The excellent news is, wiggle that. Now wiggle that.
Oh.
Oh, great
Oh,
news.
great.
Happy days. That's knackered.
So we need to now compare the inside of that to the inside of that. So let's take.
There.
We need to remove this big bugger.
Whatever it is.
Blimey, what on earth is that? Well, let's find out. That's heavy. I was wrong. The mount's light.
I made it look light though, didn't I?
That piece is heavy. What size?
That size.
I think we're on to a 15. Another 15 mil.
So it's wedged against the bench, so no issues.
No, not too bad that. Oh, this is interesting.
They're all very dry.
They are. There we are. There's the little 15.
What is that?
Let's have it off. Oh, hello. Oh. That's weird. That's just like a weight, isn't it?
It could be a counterbalance,
I
but
think that's just a weight.
no, it can't be. Look, it's got something in it. It's got a positive and a negative, so we want to get these. Right, it's got a part number on. Should we look it up? Because
Let's
we don't
do
want
it.
to look completely stupid.
Yeah.
It was made in Sweden for Fiat.
Well, the positive we have here
If they are absolutely knackered.
is if you look there, it's actually completely separating from the outer edge on that one and that one. You see they're actually ripping away from the edge. So that is I think the technical phrase is shagged.
So the professional mechanic went all the trouble of replacing diffs and everything, but put them back on the shed.
It's
Bloody irritating, isn't it?
very irritating. But our new piece, you can compare the two there. This one I can move literally with my fingers. I mean, it's really, really soft. And this one just has a nice small amount of play in it. So that's really good news. Really good news.
Right, we've gone to the trouble of looking it up, and we can't find anything on that.
No. So now, what's our decision on bolt liquids? What are we doing? Are we going to go copper grease? Are we going to?
Definitely not going copper
I don't think copper grease. I actually think
teeny weeny bit.
a teeny bit of mild thread locker.
I think I would 100% concur.
Because they're all dry, so if they're not dry, it'd be nice to put a little bit of just thread locker on, would just keep it nicely in place, I'd have thought.
Do we want them moving?
No.
I think that answers my question.
No, quite right. So let's get some thread locker and put that back on. Do is replicate that on here. It's got two little metal locators. One of them goes on the outer edge here and one goes inside that hole, like that. And then you just screw it up. If you could do the honours with a tiny bit of thread locker.
Which is unlike me.
It is, normally you larrup it on.
Yeah.
But in this case we are being...
Less is more.
Less is more. Hang on, there we go.
As we can't find the part, unfortunately we can't tell you a torque setting.
No, we're just going to go relatively tight. I think.
So.
Hang on, there we go. What do you think about that? Yeah. Right, there we go, we're back roughly in place. So what I'll do is hold that like so.
Actually, it was a spanner, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Well, if you pass me another one, I'll do the top one. As I'm standing doing nothing. Thank you. Just the side ones. Right, now these, they weren't actually that tight, but yet again, it's been done by a mechanic that we don't know. He definitely won't have used a torque setting. But I'm going to go relatively tight. Little Reg, you can see his face. I'm going pretty tight on those. Reggie.
He's done a good job, hasn't he?
He's going, look at that.
Your favourite car, isn't it?
Yes, Reg loves it. Sorry about the banging.
He's always very keen to have a little kip in it. Mind you, that's what it's good for.
Yeah. Hasn't moved far.
Yeah. We fix it, we might drive it.
Right, there we go. One side is done. A knuckle banger.
You're in.
Right, we need to just hold the diff a bit. There we go.
Ow.
Sorry, ow. He's not going to fit. It's.
Nice.
Right, and from this moment on, we should be able to do them with our hands.
If I get him out first, then I can take the weight. Or if you...
No, mine's not out, don't worry.
Got it.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, it's much easier this side.
Yeah, it is. There's tons of room this side.
Be interesting to see the state of this one then.
It will. I hope it's just as bad. Because then we would definitely know that it's a clunker.
Well, I have to say, I thought it'd be a harder job than this.
Me too. Reggie, you hard at work, mate? Are you? No?
No speaking?
We managed to get a bit of an eye open there. Oh.
Yeah, we're going to do this now.
Right then, there we are. But this mount I would class it as relatively acceptable. It's not all perishing or whatever, so it doesn't look too bad. But it's definitely a lot softer than the new ones, that's for sure. That's it. The new mount has that on, and it's looking good. We'll let Dad finish cleaning up the bolts, and we're on. Isn't that right, little fella? Now this side we've got tons more room, because we haven't got that exhaust to worry about.
Kick the camera again.
It's alright, hang on, I'm at the wrong angle. It's a bit of a weird one. There we go.
Okay, top.
Either or. You in?
I'm in.
Cool. They're not the thickest of bolts. Well, I'm happy with that.
I'm deliriously happy with that.
So, we didn't have to disconnect it. So the moment of truth, go on then. Oh, J-Dog.
What?
Lower that jack.
Happy days. We'll tighten him up.
Yes, we've got the final one to tighten. But
that is it.
We're done.
So what we'll do is we'll tighten that up.
Tighten that up with an ugger dugger.
and then we'll have some lunch, let the Loctite go off, and we'll drive it tomorrow.
Ooh,
so,
exciting.
Do we call it a day?
I suppose we do. This is part one.
Part one.
Done.
Part two, we drive it.
Yes, fingers crossed it works. See you in the next one.
I'll change all of my wicked ways.